Hey everyone, Minion here, and today we are going to transition the account to hardcore. For those of you who don't know what hardcore Tarkov is, I believe the first person to do this was Deadly Slob. You can look him up on YouTube. He's a fabulous Twitch streamer, and then he posts his streams up on YouTube as well. So check out his stream, and has some great tutorial videos on Tarkov as well. So with the way Tarkov works is they release a patch. Sometimes there's what's called a wipe, which basically resets your account and you start all over. As they balance the game, things get way out of whack. And when that happens, sometimes the only way to get everybody back on the same page is to basically wipe everything. Sometimes they can do partial wipes, where they wipe most of the character performance, but they might keep certain skills or might keep the skills in place. So they don't have to necessarily do a full, complete wipe of your characters, but for the most part, just anticipate that they will. So as you get into a wipe, and we're pretty deep into the current wipe, the players that know the game have hit high levels. Some of us have hit, mid-tier levels. You can see here my character is level 25. I did not race to 40 this time. Normally I race to 40. So like last wipe, I raced to 40. Once I hit 40, then the game got boring. So I ended up playing a lot of other games and not really coming back to Tarkov at that point. But I love the game, so I don't really want to do that this time. So this wipe, my goal was to try to get my survival rate as high as possible and play it really conservative. So not be aggressive. Play it like probably the average player does. And you can see here I'm at level 25. I took a lot of time off from Tarkov and didn't play for a while because of I was getting frustrated with some of the bugs. And netcode just wasn't in a good place. The game's in a better place now. So what hardcore is it's basically self-imposed restrictions. So instead of so if we go to our gear, instead of using all the space in the gamma, I'm going to restrict this down to what an alpha would be, which is just 4 squares. Not only that, the only thing that I can put in my container will be keys and key cards. That kind of restricts a lot of free money. It restricts, like obviously if I take heals or take anything, like all this stuff I take into a raid, well, the spare ammo, all this stuff would have to be actually out in here, which means it's at risk of loss. In addition to that, we restrict the flea market and dealers. So basically, no flea market. Unless we get to a point where we're stuck in the game which I can't imagine that scenario. We're not going to touch the flea market. So no buying and selling in the flea market. That means we're getting less money for the stuff that we sell, because we could sell it on the flea market at market price, and market prices tend to be much higher on most things than what the dealers will pay. Instead, we will sell them to the dealers. There's no restriction on which dealer, so that'll help obviously complete our tasks with the dealers. And then ultimately Fence gets all the junk. So that's kind of the gist of it. Because we're so dependent on the dealers, vendors, there's a focus on the hideout, crafting whatever we need. There's a focus on finding the stuff that we need specifically in raid. Whereas, like right now, if I needed an extra pack of screws to complete a barter for my hideout, I could just go to the flea market and buy a pack of screws and then get the barter or get the craft started. In hardcore, you can't do that. You got to go find the pack of screws. So it also tests some game knowledge. So yeah, it's much more challenging. And for those of us that have put, thousands of hours, I mean, there's people that put way more hours than I have. I think I'm at 1,500. Yeah, 1,570. The more hours you've put in, and the game has changed. So I mean, the game today is very different than several wipes ago. So yeah, and I will admit, playing it more conservatively was much more challenging to level up this time around. So it was, I think, more fun this patch than I've had in prior patches. But it's about time where, we see the next wipe cycle in the future. It's probably going to be by the end of the year. And I want to be able to put some time into hardcore. And the other thing it does is help practice what a wipe looks like. Because, once you're wipe and you're starting off scratch, it can be a struggle. Hardcore is worse than that, because right now there's level 40, level 50 players running around in full gear. There's people running around in class 5, class 6 armors. So if we run up against players, we're going to be at a severe disadvantage. As it stands at a level 25, I can buy the best ammo, and I can buy good armor, and I can compete. Hardcore, we're not going to be able to. So that's kind of the introduction. We're going to go ahead and wipe the account. So this is kind of the last view of what my numbers look like. I had a pretty successful wipe with this particular stint. My longest win streak, 13 raids in a row. KD about 7-1, which that's, a little bit lower than if I play more aggressively. My survival rate was up in the 70s. Then I started actually trying to complete some of these tasks because they were just annoying me. I'm like, why don't I just do some of these tasks? And and that got me killed. So this is dropped a bit, but still 66% is still effective enough in this game. So it's going to be kind of interesting because this survival rate probably going to drop considerably and I'm going to struggle. So let's kind of see where it goes. All right, so to reset the game, we got to log out. Okay, so we're going to go to log into our Escape from Tarkov account. Yes, we are human. All right, and all right, so this is where you would click install if you're installing the game new, if you were linking your Twitch account. Receive some free goodies, upgrade your edition. So you can change a lot of settings here, but we're going to go over here to the right. It says reset the game profile, and you can see you can do this once every 3 weeks. We got the game closed already, so we're going to reset the game profile. All progress will be lost. Yep. Game profile reset. All right. So at this point, we're done here. Go and close that. Alrighty. All right, we can go English. We're going to do hardcore. Let's stick with USAC. This just determines the language. The bears are Russian, so any of the comments and such in-game dialogue options are all in Russian, which can be cool, can be fun, but I'll just stick with USAC. And I usually stick with Hudson. All right, so the other restriction on hardcore is scav runs. No scav runs. So when we go in here, we're not going to be running scav and getting free equipment from the scav. Healing, I think Deadly Sob changed his rules to, I think, allow vendor therapist healing at the end of a raid up until a certain level. That way you need time to be able to gather enough meds to be able to to heal yourself. So I think I'm going to do that. I think we'll do that up to level 10. So if I have the money, then I can do a vendor heal. Otherwise, I'd have to just stop playing. Alright, now the other thing we have to do is we have all these goodies. And we are going to delete it all. What I am going to do is take, I think we'll use so we'll Alright, now I'm doing this because if you don't have anything in your inventory, it'll get picked up in here, and I don't want to accidentally pick stuff up in here. Alright, and we're gonna send all of this stuff into here. Alright. And then the way I do this, a lot of people go in and just delete all this stuff individually. What I like to do is go to fence and all that. We're gonna have to redo all this stuff, but I can spend time on that later when we're not streaming. But everything just come on. Alright, so voila. And just sell it all. And you can see here, you get quite a bit. I have the Edge of Darkness edition. Plus, if you're a USEC, you get certain equipment. If you're a bear, you get certain equipment off the start. So you'll have this stuff at the start of a wipe. And you see here's a whole bunch of heals, which, you know, in theory, I could get off to a better start if I just kept all the heals. And I thought about that, changing the hardcore rules to just fuel is going to be interesting. Because I'm not going to get it. Vendor, okay, that's not empty. That's why it won't let me sell that. Alright, so... oh, come on. Too fast for my own good. Okay. Alright. So that converted everything into money, and then we just delete the money. Discard. Okay. So we are back to square one. So we go here, count lifetime's been reset, everything's been reset. So normally in a wipe, first thing I usually go through and do is tag as much of the stuff, identify as much of the stuff as I can. Make sure, so I go through each of the vendors and I accept the initial quests. I got nothing there, should shouldn't be anything for Peacekeeper either. Mechanic. Ragman. Okay, so accept the initial quests, and then go through and you tag identify all this stuff. Now, I'm not going to do that here. Because it's no fun watching somebody sit through and click. But this is what you basically do. Click through on it, and you'll notice that you're gaining little bits of XP for doing that. So absolutely do that. That's going to give you an XP boost for your early levels.